Where do you guys want to be?
Right there's fine.
Hey, Senator, you're gonna have a chance. Last time we met, you asked about the hot dog shop.
I know, exactly.
Here, how are you?
I'm signing.
Sorry. Oh, yeah, I'm always having more.
And I'm not. Hey. Very nice. Still dancing about too much.
Mike, the wall, Mike, the wall.
Somewhere else.
Need to talk about anything like that.
Okay.
That hurt the guy.
Hey, Sherry, how are
May
you?
not have showed up at one meeting. The night before the day.
Oh, great. Okay. Yes,
Anything else we need to know? Just be official reference for the meeting. Good to see you there. How's everything going?
Good, everything's good.
Good.
Okay, everyone, welcome. We want to welcome Senator Moreno here today. If you would please all, you're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance before our meeting, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, Madam Clerk, please call roll. Where are you? Call roll, please.
Mr. Malloy.
Here.
Mr. Bernard.
Here.
Mr. Hernandez.
Here. I would like to welcome again Senator Moreno. Also, we have Mayor Doug Franklin here. We have State Rep David Thomas. We have State Rep Nick Santucci. Who am I missing here? We have Eddie Colbert is here from Warren.
We Rob
And the Mayor Doug
Santos,
Franklin.
trustee from Boston Town.
Santos, Bob Santos is here. And from the Congressman Joyce's office, Ariane is here today. Welcome, Ariane.
Yeah, no.
This meeting has been called. Senator's been gracious enough to join us today and answer some questions. I don't know, Senator, if you would like to open it up with some dialogue.
Sure. So, first of all, thank you for having me. I appreciate these opportunities are rare because as you know, I have this gig down in DC that's Monday through Friday. So typically I can't get into Ohio as much as I'd like to during the week because we're down there, but we had the opportunity to close out voting last night. And I wanted to come here because my number one concern here in this community is what's going on with the hospital. So to me, it's completely unacceptable what happened with Stewart Healthcare. In fact, look, I'll just be quite blunt as I only know how to be. This Ralph De La Torre character should rot in jail, and I will do everything possible to make certain that that happens. To find to make certain that we have him held accountable for what he did, not just in Trumbull. This is he wreaked havoc in several states. Obviously, Insight Health came in and did what they could. Here we are with a hospital that's closed, which impacted the community. We've been working diligently, I say we, my team, and local officials, state officials, to find a path to get the system reopened. It's decently complicated. You know, when these private equity companies come in, they buy assets, they gut companies, they dividend themselves out millions of dollars and leave the community hanging. So we're trying to put the pieces back together. I can tell you the good news is that MPT Properties, which has a very technical role, which is just to own the real estate, has come to the table with a very generous offer of what they're willing to do to move that real estate to a new operator. So that's good news. The bankruptcy court process for Stewart is pretty much at the tail end, which allows us to bring in another buyer. Insight is obviously stepping aside. So it's left open an opportunity for us to bring in a strategic buyer that can reopen and manage the healthcare system for the long run, bring the employees back, and provide health care to the community. So I'd say we're at the 3-yard line on making that happen. This is a full team effort. I wish I had, we were at the finish line and could announce the touchdown today, but I can tell you that we're at the 3 yard line. I feel very optimistic. That doesn't mean that we can make this happen, but that's my number one imperative for this community. Secondly, is, as you know, because I campaigned on it, actually I was involved in this 6 years ago when General Motors closed the Lordstown plant. I thought that was the wrong decision on GM's part to do that. It was one of the highest quality manufacturing facilities in North America. You see what the president's doing. He's made it crystal clear. We're not going to allow companies to ship our jobs overseas. 25 years we've been doing that. Communities like Warren have paid the price, and we're going to reverse that. We see the announcement for Kimberly-Clark. They're going to build a huge new paper processing facility in Warren, Ohio. Which is great news, but that doesn't solve my auto problem in Lordstown. So I've been working with the CEOs of major auto companies, and I'm very, very optimistic. I think the combination of tariffs, a tax environment, which is very positive, a regulatory environment, which is very positive, and phenomenal energy policies are going to see a boom to places like Trumbull County. So what I would say to the commissioners is get ready for a lot of economic activity to drive this community forward. And it's going to start with having a good healthcare system. And let me just address the elephant in the room, because no offense to my media friends here today, the media does a terrible job of actually telling the truth of what's going on in Washington, D.C. with regards to Medicaid. Medicaid matters a lot to your constituents. A lot of your constituents rely on Medicaid. We will not cut Medicaid benefits. I can't say that loudly and clearly enough, because I say these words come out of my mouth, and then I read in places like the Cleveland Plain Dealer, Republicans are looking to gut Medicaid. I'm like, I just said the exact opposite. What we are going to do with Medicaid is stop giving Medicaid to illegal aliens. We're going to stop the waste, fraud, and abuse that's been happening in the system. We're going to put in place technology and innovation to make delivery of those services better. That includes figuring out ways to cut down on unnecessary emergency room visits, and instead move money to prevention, to community health centers, to urgent care centers, where they can provide those services dramatically less expensive. And we're going to put in place a state-directed, that means I'm looking at the 2 state reps that are here, a state-directed work requirement for able-bodied Americans, something that Bill Clinton put in place in the 90s. I think that's something that most Americans can agree on, everything I just said, but no benefit cuts. I just want to make that clear for all of you. And again, I'm here to listen. So with that, I will turn it back over to you.
Senator, and I'll turn it over to the commissioners where there are state representatives. I'm sure everybody has questions. It has been brought to my attention that, and you had mentioned Medicaid, that the hospitals, when they work as a privately owned private entity, due to the fact that a lot of our residents here within Trumbull County or even the Warren area are on Medicaid, and a lot of these for-profit hospitals can't garner the monies that they need to continue to operate. We had some meetings with Mercy Health, with their CEO, a nonprofit. They're open to a lot of federal monies. Would you, do you think that maybe it would be a good opportunity or an idea to have a similar thing here in Warren, Ohio, to open this up to a nonprofit entity similar to Mercy Health?
It could be. I'm agnostic as to how or who the operator is. What we need is an operator that has a strong balance sheet, that's healthy, and most importantly, that wants to be in the hospital business. What you saw with Stewart Health, they didn't want to be in the hospital business. They wanted to be in the gutting entities, selling off real estate, selling off assets, ripping off employee business, and in the meantime, making themselves tens of millions of dollars. So we're going to make certain that the operator is somebody who has a vision for how they're going to do the things that I outlined. There's an enormous opportunity for technology to play a positive role in delivering healthcare more efficiently. Remote health is one piece of it. The AI is another piece of it. I've introduced a bill to make certain that I call it, give private health insurance companies counter incentives. So right now, let me explain what that means. Right now, if you're a hospital provider and I provide treatment for a patient, and that claim gets submitted to the insurance company, they deny the claim almost instantaneously. Not because it was a bad claim, not because it was an error, because it's a game. And what happens is over 3, 4, 5, 6 months, eventually that claim gets paid. But in the meantime, nurses have had to put a lot of work in, doctors, administrators, total waste of time. So what my bill does is it provides a 25% penalty that the insurance company pays for paying a claim that's substantially the same after a period of time. Give them counterbalance, counter incentive, because some of these health systems can't deal with that kind of cash flow. Where 6 months later you get that money, and then they have hundreds, sometimes thousands of people that are in that business of playing those games. So we're not going to let these private insurance companies get away with murder like that anymore. And so those are the kinds of things, reforms that I'm talking
Great. I think, I'm sure everybody has questions for the senator today, but I'd like to ask our state reps here. Nick, do you have any questions for the senator?
No, Senator, welcome to District 64. You're in the heart of my district, and so welcome to Trumbull County. Thanks for being here today. Really appreciate your emphasis on Insight Hospital. You know, that's something that everybody in this room has been working on and trying to solve. A really challenging and unfortunate situation that we're dealing with them. I do want to direct your attention also to Mercy Health as well, because they are investing in Trumbull County and they are doing the best they can to provide and step up for our constituents and our citizens here and to meet the healthcare need. And so I want to kind of give a shout out to them. They're building a new facility in Champion, Ohio, also my district. And I think it's going to be really great. Thank you also for your support on Kimberly-Clark. That's a huge economic development impact. Lots of investment coming here. We have great opportunity in Trumbull County. It's just a matter of setting and creating the environment to allow these businesses to come here and invest in this market. So appreciate you being here. One thing I do want to make you aware, Senator, at least from my perspective, I introduced a resolution to the House, the Ohio House, to try to attract NASA headquarters here to Ohio. Ideally, we'd like it in Cleveland. I know you're well aware of that, but I wanted to make you kind of aware that, you know, what we're doing in the legislature is trying to attract as many businesses and companies here as well. So in the same realm of economic development, we'd love to land NASA. That supply chain that will come with NASA would be huge. It would impact this district and this county and, you know, all the counties all the way from the lake to the river. So probably lots more we could talk about. Another thing I want to make you aware in this market that's a huge concern, at least from my perspective, is human trafficking. We continue to see human trafficking numbers rise. We've got to solve that problem. Ohio is ranked 4th or 5th worst human trafficking state in the country, depending on, you know, what study you look at. Either study shows that we're in bad shape. So we really need to crack down on that. And I've also introduced legislation in Columbus for income deductions on those working overtime, with overtime wages. I know the president's focused on that. I know the federal government's focused on that. Ohio's trying its best to mirror a lot of what's going on at the federal level to be as supportive as we can, so that way Ohio can move forward, even if the federal government, no disrespect to you, can't accomplish what we're looking to do. So lots more to talk about. I certainly don't want to monopolize the time, but really grateful for you and all your hard work. Thank you for representing Ohio well, and thank you for your hard work and your love for Trumbull County. We're grateful to have you here.
Well, as you know, this is these two counties here in Mahoney were counties that Sheriff Brown had dominated for years. And the fact that we flipped both those counties was a great accomplishment. But back real quick, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime. We will get that passed.
That's great.
Before summer. So that's huge.
Look forward to
The other piece of it is you talked about human trafficking. Cash Patel will be out here in Ohio. I think you're going to see a nice announcement on that. We have a U.S. attorney that we've nominated. I can't tell you who that is. Let me just say, I think all of you will be very happy. We should see that announcement coming soon. That will make a big difference. In terms of NASA, we just confirmed we just confirmed out of committee the new NASA administrator. Him and I are text friends. We communicate all the time. I don't know that we need to call it headquarters because that gets some of my friends in Florida, Alabama, and Texas a little triggered. But what I'm worried about, what I'm focused on is bringing more functions to NASA Glenn, and obviously that does bring supply chain. That also means that we need to do better at commercializing the technology that comes out of Nassau Glen and making those companies live here in Ohio. And to the mayors and county commissioners, what I would say to you is, look, one of the things we have to do is adjust our mindsets to say, how do we make it easier for businesses to land here? What are the things that we can do when a company comes? It doesn't mean giveaways, by the way. It doesn't mean we bend rules or say we're gonna put these interests of business ahead of our community. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, how do we work with businesses so that when they think of Trumbull County, they say to their friends, hey, look, you're thinking about investing in Ohio or Pennsylvania or Nashville or anywhere else. These guys in Trumbull County, these guys are the best to work with. They make it so easy. Those are the kinds of pro-business things that I would encourage all of you to do. And that, by the way, flows all the way down to housing. Because as we build up economic opportunity, I'm going to be sitting here with you guys a year or two from now, and you're going to be saying, man, we got the hospital working great. We got businesses coming left and right. We have a housing shortage. So let's get ahead of that and be proactive, look around the corner.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Representative Santucci. Senator, what I think what we can all agree on is that Trumbull County and the Mahoning Valley in general is looking to shed the Rust Belt adage. I mean, we do need to concentrate on technology, new phases, new industry. We've been known as the Rust Belt. Anybody that deals with rust knows that that's just not a good word, so.
We can pass a law and make that a misdemeanor every time somebody
You know,
says Rust Belt.
You can't sell a car with rust. You say.
This is not the Rust Belt. It's going to be quite the opposite. Look, the reality is, this is not to get wax philosophical here, but we didn't make it the Rust Belt. People here in this community did not make it the Rust Belt.
Mhm.
Politicians in Washington, D.C. made it the Rust Belt. 25 years ago, China's GDP was $1.2 trillion. 1.2 trillion, 25 years ago. It's approaching 20 trillion. We built China's middle class. We built China's economy.
Sure.
Our politicians will allow that to happen. Who thought it was a good idea to say, hey, let's have China make everything so we can go out and buy trinkets at Walmart cheaply. And then our communities pay that price. We don't have, that's not theoretical for us. We understand that. And we're going to change that and turn that around. And we're going to work in concert, and we're going to make Ohio an absolute powerhouse. This community, not too long ago, was one of the wealthiest places in the entire country. And I think when we watch sporting events or we see announcements in the news and we can point to things that are being built and say, Warren, Ohio built that. That's American steel that went into that project. And we should do that with great pride. And that's what's coming back.
Thank you. Commissioner Malloy, I believe you have a question for the senator.
Yeah, Senator, we had some requests recently to put in your portal on some of our biggest demands or concerns, I should say, that we're working on as commissioners and where you can help. The number one thing that we would put in your portal, we ranked number one, was infrastructure. And with infrastructure, I mean, Trumbull County is you kind of representative of the whole state of Ohio. We've got Warren, Niles, the big cities, but 2/3 of our county are farmland, raw land, basically. Mosquito Lake, second largest lake in the state, and we have no sewer, no water. So that's a restricting factor for us with businesses trying to grow north. We've got the space, we've got the employees now are going to work at Kimberly-Clark and these other businesses, but they need a place to live. Nobody wants to build where they're going to have septic systems and well water in today's day and age, and we can't put it on the backs of our large landowners to pay that frontage to get the lines run by their houses to get to the people. So we're going to need some state and federal help for that to happen. And we did put that in your portal as number one, a feasibility study to get sewer and water to the northern reaches of our county, right up the gut. I received a call yesterday from Chamber of Commerce. They also wanted me to reiterate to you that with our Valley Vision, all of our economic groups came together, formed a group called Valley Vision, which works with Jobs Ohio and Eastgate and Chamber and Port Authority. And the number one thing we ranked there too was housing, and housing needs sewer and water right now. And anything we could do on the federal level with that, it's going to help us grow. You give us a little spark and we'll start the fire when it comes to infrastructure.
Perfect. Well, right literally behind you is our state director, James Coyne. James is who runs that portal. And then over to the my far right, your left is Max Kovacs. He's our regional director. The projects that we want to help with are the projects that have broad community support, where all the organizations together are saying, hey, these are the these are the things that we really want, and this is the one or two things that we really want. That allows me to advocate for those in a strong way down in Washington, D.C. We want to make certain that the state is at the table, that we're additive to what they're doing, that the county, that we're additive to what they're doing, and even the local municipalities. I can tell you as a business guy, the most important thing for housing is quick and easy approvals. When you have a developer that comes in and they want to put in 200 houses, and the city or the county don't have any, I'm not giving you specific examples here. I've not heard that here at all, but I have heard it elsewhere. 18 to 24, 36 months for approvals, ridiculous requests, massive amounts of bureaucracy and red tape. And housing developers have choices. You look at Dallas, Texas, just Dallas has 5,000 housing starts a year. Just Dallas. Ohio has 5,000 housing starts a year. Think about the difference there. So they can go build there, they can build here. So we want to make them really interested in building here. We got to drive down the cost of housing. We got to make certain that we're making these projects more affordable. And if there's things that we can do on infrastructure that does that, because look, the reality is we're going to do our piece. I promise you that, meaning the federal government, meaning incentives on taxes, regulation, workforce, tariffs. So now they're going to want to build here. Kimberly Clark, eventually Lordstown. They need a place to live. I think that doesn't mean a $800,000 house. That means a $250,000 to $350,000 house. Those are very hard to build right now, especially if the project is taking a long time to get approved. So I would encourage you to think about that and how you can make zoning and permitting happen faster. And then I'm going to point to my two favorite state reps and tell them property taxes. We need major property tax reform because look, it's not just the price of the house, it's the property tax and the insurance piece. We need to work on all three of those. Because when I look at young people today, thinking that I can never afford a house, that's the essence of the American dream. You can't take home ownership away from that next generation.
Yeah, sorry, I appreciate you bringing up property taxes, and I do want to kick it to my colleague, Representative Thomas. So Rep. Thomas has, in the Ohio legislature, we've been working really well together, much better than last General Assembly, as you can imagine. And we now have good, qualified, capable state reps and state senators that are all identifying a lane of where their expertise is. Rep. Thomas, being a former county auditor, his lane has been property taxes, and he's done a great job for us in Columbus on identifying a lot of different areas where we can improve the property tax. So if I could kick it to Rep. Thomas to kind of give an explanation of the bills that you're working on and kind of all of the vision of where you'd like us to go.
Sure. Yeah. So we're kind of doing, as Representative just said, a whole different bunch of angles on tax policy. So it's looking at some of the unvoted increases that have occurred. It's looking at helping with supply and demand issues. It's looking at incentives, abatements, really kind of whole breadth, even how we vote. We're also asking, of course, property taxes are purely a local level revenue source. And so we're asking local entities then to also look at how can we incentivize different streams, maybe move tax burdens around. But we've been moving really fast already and doing well on that front. So definitely, yes. But supply and demand is one of the best ways. Energy, I think, is probably the best way to help with that supply and demand issue. House and Senate just passed House Bill 15.
You should give everybody an update. That's probably the most consequential bill that you guys have worked on.
It's absolutely tremendous. Rep. Fisher and I from Mahoning are on the Energy Committee. That bill essentially will open the floodgates for new energy production in Ohio. We desperately need because of our supply and demand issue. Biden Obama policies, shutting down coal plants, moving energy outside of our area means supply is very low. We've got huge demand growing with homes, with manufacturing, data centers, and there's just an imbalance. So prices are going up. House Bill 15 allows for essentially, I think we've got 4 or 5 new generation already saying we're moving to Ohio. You guys are open for business, cutting down regulation times for permits, cutting taxes for new construction, for example, and really just opening the environment. So it's very exciting. And in this area especially, we can't have more manufacturing without more energy. So that bill will open.
And we have 1,000 years of energy here in Ohio.
Yeah, it's
One opportunity.
Pardon me,
Senator, that brings up another point about speaking about energy and the cost of, the rising cost of our homeowners are experiencing in electricity rates and gas rates. Do you see, are we working to maybe lower these, that they have become a very large burden on the homeowner, in addition to the property taxes? The utilities in general are skyrocketing in our area here. Is there anything, in the books looking forward to maybe manage that better or bring these costs down?
Well, on a federal level, major energy regulatory changes. I mean, we were in a situation over the last 4 years where, as Nick and David just said, we were shutting down coal. We were massively restricting natural gas and moving towards solar and wind, which, okay, whatever your opinion is, that doesn't provide affordable, abundant, reliable energy. So we were crippling America's energy resources. So that's changed 180 degrees. We put a moratorium, the president has, on coal, shutting down coal production. We've unleashed natural gas. In fact, Secretary Wright is a natural gas guy. The partnership between West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Ohio, we are the Saudi Arabia of natural gas. That is an incredible economic driver for this part of the state. And that bill that was just discussed will get us the state level things. A lot of these utilities and costs are regulated at the state level. So we're definitely doing our part at the federal level. And the energy piece alone will be a massive economic driver. Because look, when you're asking a company like Kimberly-Clark to build here in Warren, Ohio, their first question isn't government incentives.
Right.
So the first question is energy,
Yeah.
right? The second question is workforce. So we got to do a better part of that. The third question is what do we got for cooperation from local communities around permitting, et cetera? And then incentives come into a conversation. And a big shout out, Jobs Ohio has done a great job with that. So that's kind of the structure. So we're taking care of the energy piece of the regulatory piece.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
First of all, Senator, welcome to Trumbull County. You kept your word when you were campaigning. You were in Trumbull County many times, and you indicated that if you won, you would be a good friend of Trumbull County. And this shows that you kept your word, and what a great opportunity. My question is on American Rescue Plan monies. It seems that our county's going to have some monies left over for projects, but unless we get a different point of view that, let's say, we allocated $1 million for a project and it came in where we were at 800. We need legislation that helps us get that, to use that extra 200,000 in another project. So the money doesn't go back to the federal government. Is there any way that you could help us out with some of that? I mean, we may have $500,000, $800,000 left over. And in some instances, say like if we allocated $1 million to our emergency management and they bought some equipment, but then there may be another 400,000 where we can help upgrade their well, we're planning on maybe moving them to a different facility where we would like to use that money. But under the current stipulations, they're telling us that we can't do that.
Gotcha. So here's what I'd ask. We're going to have a revolution of common sense in America, long overdue. So send me, if you could together, send me my office a letter to James that lays out exactly what the request is, what you want to do. And we're going to let common sense reign. And look, the reality is we shouldn't reward people who outrageously overspent, and then punish people who actually were frugal. So send us a letter. We'll review it right away. I can tell you the one thing that my office does, we respond very, very, very to things like that. As you know, the reason this type of thing happens is because you contacted me to let me know that this even occurred in the first place. You got to remember, it's a big state. And I got DC things that I got on my plate, and I got Ohio things on my plate. And I need all of you to be my eyes and ears, proactive. Hey, want to, this is what's happening, this is what's happening down the road. This is why we have Max engaged every day, why James is engaged every day. The way I can be most effective is if you're giving us early warning signals on potential problems. The sheriff, wherever you went, there he is, that he wants to do some creative things with the federal government. Send me a letter, get that to me so that we can respond quickly. But while we're on this topic, we had a paper mill that's in the process of closing down in Chillicothe, Ohio. It's almost 1,000 people that are potentially going to lose their job. But we got involved when we found out it was closing. What I'd ask all of you, from the mayor to the county commissioners here in Trumbull County, let us know, check in with your major employers on a regular basis. If there's things that need to happen, that proactivity, it's a lot easier to prevent a problem than it is to fix something that occurred. So I urge all of you, please communicate with our office on a regular basis. Check-ins are really important. If you're not talking to Max on a regular basis, just checking in, that's not good. We want to be proactive and help you. That means the state reps as well. We got to work together as a team and all these things.
Thank you. Senator Franklin, would you happen to have any questions for the senator?
Thank you, and it's good to see you again. I want to first thank you for your accessibility. I first had the opportunity to meet you when I was at the U.S. Conference of Mayors in D.C., and I think you were in your office a week. And I peeled away from the conference, and you were gracious enough to meet with us, and you were just moving stuff into your office. It was the same day that Senator Husted was appointed senator, and you got a promotion the same day. So I thank you for your accessibility. We had another trip with another delegation not long after that to celebrate the Ohio birthday celebration. And you were gracious enough to meet with us again. So I've been to your office twice, and you've only been in office, 5 months. So I thank you for your accessibility. And I do remember the first time that we met, I said, I'm the mayor from Warren, Ohio. And you said, why didn't you bring me a hot dog? So if I'd had
Which,
more
by the
time-
way.
Yeah, they're not open yet, Senator.
We didn't see a rider.
But I want to pivot back to where you started, because it's a priority of all of ours in this room. That's what the Insight Hospital fiasco. And I say that because probably a month ago, I had a press conference and I asked, and you responded, for the federal government, as well as the attorney general, whose letter's gone out today, to look into the atrocities that occurred and the criminal activity as it relates to Medicare, Medicaid fraud. Your office responded, and I'm glad that you have that as a priority. I walk lockstep with you in terms of criminal charges that needs to be levied and accountability needs to be had from the justice system, because they've gutted this hospital in our community. That being said, we're not giving up. That's not in our DNA in this community. So there is I have one request that's kind of urgent, that your office keep an eye on I think it's the Department of Medicare and Medicaid. There are 2 hospital systems that are interested. They have their applications in to take over their own billing. It's an AI-based billing and coding platform. And that's what kind of slunk Insight, and it's part of their problem. They have those applications. They were just not approved, but they're in the system now. I was asked that I forward this to your office, that you keep an eye on that process so that it doesn't get too many time delays, because the longer that hospital stays closed, the more difficult and expensive it is to bring it back. So, and I know you will accommodate on that. So I just wanted to make sure I got that into your office and put on your radar. Secondly, we discussed with your staff in DC, a neighborhood, it's a housing issue, a neighborhood next program. That's it's an incentivized program that will be, it'll be affordable housing, but it'll be market rate housing. It's targeted for our peninsula and some of our other neighborhoods, but it's a great program. Your staff is very well aware of it. We think it'll be a big boom to our housing shortage and provide quality, affordable housing. Your staff is very receptive. I think it was the Northeastern Ohio Public Energy Council who accommodated me with that lobbying effort. So we want you to keep an eye on that as well. Those are very important to us. Secondly, thirdly, I should say, the Kimberly Clark announcement. And that's what I really love about being mayor and being a part of this community, particularly the elected official delegation and all of the staffs who I get the pleasure of working with. That project doesn't happen without the Trumbull County Commissioners, Trumbull County Planning Commission, Howland Township, Warren Township, and the City of Warren, working collaboratively, along with the Lake the River delegation from Jobs Ohio, Port Authority, and the Chamber, working collaboratively over, I think you were still with the Chamber, flew down, it was about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
To look at the facility there, and that's when it started. So it's kind of ironic you're here on the day that the big announcement was made by the company that they're going to invest $2 billion in our community. So we haven't given up on that exactly. That's part of our DNA. I'm a UAW retired worker. So it's important to me. I lived through what you talked about with how that industry was gutted, and particularly our community was left empty-handed and those jobs went elsewhere. So I'm glad that that's on your radar to bring those jobs back. We are currently working with Foxconn diligently to welcome them in our community and to create an environment where investment is welcome and attractive for that company. So we believe that that's going to produce fruit real soon. So
I can tell you, I've talked to CEO of every car maker on earth over the last 4 months, like literally all of them. And some of them, Jim Farley, who's now become actually a good friend of me, another text friend, we text on a regular basis. Just to remind everybody, that Lordstown plant employed 10,000 people, 10,000 people. And then you look at, it's not, as you know, it's not just 10. You can multiply it by 5. See all the impacts it has on the community, the school system, the health of the community, housing, restaurants, you go on, right? The idea that now you have these massive manufacturing facilities overseas, and these companies think that they can then ship our same products here, and then we'll look the other way, is an insane idea. My perspective on, and I've said this to Foxconn, is for them to bring something in where it's couple hundred people. No. This is a 6 million square foot facility. It is a jewel. It has its own exit off the turnpike. It's got utilities. It's got everything it needs. We need to make that a major manufacturing site. And that skill set still lives in this community. So I build world-class automobiles. So we need to make sure that that happens. In terms of what we're doing with Insight, let me just say again, my point of view is we're in the 3-yard line. I think we're really, I was actually hoping that by today I would come and tell you, hey, here's what we got. Let me introduce you. But after hearing your comments, one of the things I want to do, Mayor, if it's okay with you, is have you and the commissioners engaged with a conversation when we're ready to score the touchdown beforehand to make sure that you're comfortable with the operator as well. Because again, I don't want to play whack-a-mole. The idea is that all of a sudden, oh, we got a new buyer, but we had that kind of with Insight. And then here we are, not too long afterwards, and we're all busy people. So we don't want to be at this. We want to know that whoever comes in, that our grandkids are still serviced with that same operator. So we'll get you guys engaged. So James, make sure we do that. Remind me that. I'll give props to the Attorney General. Dave Yost has been engaged with me very, very much as a partner. And this, we wouldn't have gotten anywhere near the 3-yard line if it wasn't for Dave Yost. He deserves a lot of credit on how all this is coming to fruition. Look, I think the headline, honestly, that needs to come out of this is if you're a business, you want to come to Ohio, you want to invest, you want to move our community forward, and you want to be a positive contributor, open arms, hugs and kisses. We will move heaven and earth to welcome you. If you're a business that wants to pillage, that wants to destroy our great companies, you will face a wrath unlike anything you've ever seen. I've had that conversation clearly with the organization at Chillicothe. We cannot be played like suckers anymore. And that means from mayor to county to state to federal, that we align ourselves to make sure that we are a wall together as a team. This is not Democrat or Republican. We can have plenty of partisan issues that we argue about. This is nothing to do. I don't even know if you're a Republican or Democrat. I don't care. This is about helping the people who elect us, the people who go to the ballot box and say, I expect you to advocate for me and help me make my life better. That is ultimately our moral responsibility.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Senator, I believe, and to hit on that point, and you made a great point. It isn't about party lines. This is about what we can do for the people as public servants. And we have been working, Democrat, Republican, we've been working diligently together. We don't, this area used to be very highly Democratic, and there is a bit of a transition. However, a lot of those that are in the Democrat Party and the Republican Party are working together, united, to see that these types of things like Kimberly Clark, Foxconn, that they come together and that we bring it to fruition. And I love that statement that you had just made, because we do need to work together. If not, then it becomes you'd have to be an independent just to do away with all of it. Is it?
No, Rick, I just also just want to let the senator know that we're working lockstep with area and Senator Joyce, excuse me, Congressman Joyce's office as well.
No, he's a great partner.
It's been a pleasure.
We work with Congressman Joyce all the time. I actually knew him well before I got into politics. Great man, great congressman, very respected on the Hill, by the way. He's universally loved. So you're very well represented there.
Okay, any other questions while we're here for the senator? Commissioner? No other? Julie?
Oh, yes, I guess we will bring that up. Arian, from you want to bring that up?
I mean, I can talk about it a little bit.
A story broke yesterday
Yeah,
about our water supply, Amanda Reservoir had a $38 million grant loan from the government that may be in the process of being canceled, which would put a huge financial burden on everything we do here with our water rates. But Arian, wants you to take it.
yeah, so Senator, so we were approached in the Congressman's office from Mr. Holloway, who is with MVSD, Mahoning Valley Sewer District. So Meander Reservoir received a BRIC grant through FEMA, which it came from FEMA to the state to MVSD. They have not broken ground yet, and there is some threat of their funding, obligated funding being revoked. We're working on it. I would love the opportunity to work with you guys and see
100%.
kind of how we can all work together collaboratively. It's a relatively new issue. We're just kind of finding out about it. But that's the gist of it, is that they were obligated this funds. They were given the funds. The contract was written March 20th, 2024. And it was signed close to that. And they were supposed to have 2 years to use the funding. And now with the rhetoric that FEMA and BRIC, the funding is disappeared. So that's the gist of it.
Okay, so James, let's get on top of that. Let's dive deep into what that is. Look, let me just say this, that probably, because I'm not a politician, don't have long-term political aspirations. I'm dramatically more free to say it like it is. As you know, none of you were there, you listened to many of my pitches, but look, for me, it's 2 terms now. So I'm not thinking about this as something I'm going to do the rest of my life. Let me just be brutally blunt. The administration is moving 100 miles an hour. That's all a feature and a bug. The good news is moving 100 miles an hour. And I think the voters expected urgency. Like if your premise is that DC was perfect, don't touch it, you probably think this is bad. If your premise is DC was a mess, $37 trillion in debt, not running very efficiently, and we need to change it, then you're thinking this is good. But when you do that, I can say firsthand in my business, when you move that quickly, you're going to make mistakes. And that's okay. I mean, I think the key is to have a partnership and a dialogue and a team that responds so that you identify something, let us know. If something is done incorrectly, we can fix it. And that's okay to admit, hey, we screwed up and we're going to fix it. We had a similar situation in Lake County. I actually worked with Congressman Joyce. Didn't even get to this stage, honestly, where because it was handled so quickly. It was a solar panel field that was going to be built on, in the city of Painesville that, was about to be revoked by EPA on a Sunday. Heard about it, called Lee Zeldin, his team got on it by Sunday evening, it was resolved. And we didn't even get to Monday. It was done, the funding's there, got moved forward. Now, there was another one that was a solar project to build solar panels on the east side of Cleveland. That was some outrageous $80+ million. And I looked at it and said jokingly that if I walked into any of those households and knocked on the door and said, "Hey, I'm your United States Senator, how can I help you?" And I made them keep giving me a list of things. After 7,552, maybe they would say put a solar panel in my room. It wouldn't be the first thing they would say would really help them. So that project got swiftly canceled. But this is the way we have to work in concert. So you guys think, look, this is where the unite, I can't stress this enough. United as a community is the key. Where I hear the mayor, this is good. The county commissioners, this is good. The chamber, this is good. The sewer district, this is important. That is the surest way to make certain that these things move forward in a good direction. And your state reps or your state senator, it's really important. The communities that fail, that don't do a good job, are 17 different opinions among 5 different public officials. Then it leaves me in a position where I just don't know what the community really wants. Right. So this sounds like an easy one. Let's get together with James immediately. I'm going to challenge James to get it resolved today.
Okay.
So we can go the weekend and say, we're done. One of the things I want to bring to government is this idea that things shouldn't take forever. Doesn't need to take forever. We don't need to grind these things out. Like I go back to Medicaid. We've had this discussion for months now, and I keep trying to be clear with my colleague. Look, I know how to do math. There's 53 Republicans. You need 50 votes to pass something. So it's not like hyperbole that Medicaid benefit cuts won't pass. I know because I know how to count to 4. So I'm one. I see 3 others. I already have them. Medicaid benefit cuts aren't going to pass. So like my colleagues in the House, I tell them all the time, you guys can do whatever you want over there. Have all kinds of fun conversations. I'm telling you what will pass in the Senate. If you bring us a bill that cuts Medicaid benefits, it's going to not pass. So my point is, like, instead of having activity on things that aren't going to happen, why don't you focus on the things that will pass? So that's what allows us to be more effective. But anyway, yes.
I do have a question about Medicaid funding. I'm sorry. My name is Alex Stephen Jonesy Bush. I come from Job and Family Services before coming to county and human resources aspect. But I specifically am questioning Trumbull County is at 16.8% poverty. The average national is 12.4. Our citizens are very highly, a lot of them are on Medicaid. Specifically, I'm talking for our caseworkers here in Trumbull County. So when we're talking about Medicaid funding, what we just want to ensure, or what I would ask the government to ensure, is that there's enough funding there for the administrative aspect, especially when you're dealing with AVODs. So I know very well AVODs, we have that per SNAP. So, you know, obviously food assistance, you have to work on food assistance if you're an able-bodied individual. When you're talking
Is
about.
that an acronym for
It is
AVOD?
AVOD, ABAW.
Does somebody want to be called an ABOT?
No. But it is able-bodied individual.
Okay, there you
But
go.
when we're talking about Medicaid, that's a whole nother, I just kind of want to bring it down to a county level here, specifically in Trumbull County. Food assistance is one thing. Medicaid is astronomically larger. So I would just want to ensure that the federal government is looking at, when you're talking about funding, making sure that that administrative level, there's enough there for us to support our caseworkers. If we're going to have to then, you know, change our eligibility standards where they're going to have to do the able-bodied individuals for Medicaid, we're talking a substantial increase in our bottom line operating costs. So we just need to ensure, if we can, that that funding is there for us on a county level, because the county does have a mandated share that we have to provide the job and family services to provide those services to this county.
No,
It's all relevant.
phenomenal point. And that's why I mentioned this idea of innovation and technology. If you know it, you live it every single day, by the way. But for those of us, the rest who aren't like in the belly of the beast here, it isn't simple, frictionless. This is not ordering something on Amazon with one click. Okay, this is obscene amounts of bureaucracy. that can be solved with technology. So the idea, for example, able-bodied adult can be that, have I gone, this will, by the way, will be directed to the states. And I've told my colleagues, they go, we at the federal government are not going to write a 50-state work requirement. That would be, first of all, we'd own it. Disaster. Right? So my point of view is like the states put that in place. So when you guys complain to me about the work requirement, not to those guys.
Yeah.
Right? So, and the states can also come up with more innovative solutions.
Good point.
But for example, if now I'm saying, okay, and Ohio puts in a work requirement where you have to either 20 hours a week, or you have to be in some sort of trades program,
Yes.
volunteering, whatever they say. That can't be a 72-page form that requires a staff member an hour and a half per individual, because now you've actually added costs to delivery. There's unemployment forces you to verify that you work every week. So why not plug in some sort of API that says, hey, look, unemployment checks it, it's checked for Medicaid. No more administrative burden on the county. Those are like common sense things. Like I said, revolutionary common sense. Those are the things that we got. All of us agree. And let me just stress again, emergency room visits are a pariah in the healthcare system. When somebody goes in with sniffles to an emergency room. Now, by the way, I don't blame the person. A lot of times is they don't know that there's another resource, that maybe they don't know there's urgent care, or they don't know that they can go to a primary doctor, or we've cut funding for preventative care that says, hey, you go to the doctor when it's like too late, when you're really, really sick, where we could have actually treated that person dramatically less expensively if we had done a better job at prevention. Those are the things that we got to work on. That isn't cutting benefits. It's actually restoring more benefits. And again, that's what I want you to want, because look, if I'm doing your job and I'm reading the paper, Medicaid is going to be slashed by 50%. I'm thinking,
We're in trouble.
not trouble. It's over. That's why you read the interview, and I don't know how to say things very politely sometimes, but I'll say it just really pisses me off. Because if you're somebody who's on Medicaid, you're thinking, hey, they're going to cut this by 50%. I'm dead. It's not anything else. If you're reading a paper, we're going to slash and eliminate Social Security. Well, I can't live. I get $1,532 to live on Social Security. They take that away from me. I'm going to starve to death. That's a terrible thing for us to do. And I get politics is supposed to be about one side winning versus the other, but let's not gaslight people out there and give them total complete fear, paralyzing like that, because that's just mean. It's very mean spirited. I listen and I get it. Look, Republicans have probably done it in the past. But I hear my Democrat colleagues on the Senate floor say these things. But by the way, just to be clear for the media, it is against the law for Congress to touch Social Security and reconciliation. It is literally a law that says you cannot touch Social Security at all during the reconciliation process, other than eliminating income taxes on Social Security. That we're allowed to do. But yet, my colleague, I've been there 100+ days. I know that because I read the book, right? And the rules of the Senate. It's a book, believe it or not. And yet, my Democrat Senate colleagues will say, oh, Republicans are going to destroy Social Security. Not true. It's, again, illegal. Again, sorry to get on a high horse about that, but I think we should report things accurately and give people the right information. And maybe they'll be mad at me for taking a vote, but at least it needs to be fact-based and not a lie that we give people just to score the vote.
Senator, I'm also.
Sorry, but just to finish with you, if you have ideas, which I'm sure you do, please look to the person to your left
Yeah, we've
and
already-
give them to him. All right, because you're doing. You know what I always found? I had 15 car dealerships, 30 different brands, 4 different states. A lot, right? Somebody would come to me and say, oh, the car wash operation isn't working at the beer store. You know what I would do? I'd get in my car, drive to the beer store, ignore the general manager, go right up to the car wash guys and go, what's up? And you know where the great ideas came from? Not from the general manager, from the guys washing the cars. Those are the guys that said, hey, this is why it's screwed up. And usually, by the way, it was the general manager.
Yeah.
So that's good. Sorry.
Senator, I'm also concerned about the possibility of the veterans funding being cut. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a lot of talk about that out there.
Zero chance of that happening. Look, the VA has to be run more efficiently. You guys know that who use the VA. Under Biden, VA employment went up 80,000 people. So it was 400,000, now it's 480. Has the expense went up 50%. I'd ask you as somebody who uses the VA, has the benefits improved, has services gone up? So imagine a private business, you increase employment 20% and you increase your budget 50 and the service delivery goes down. The quality of service goes down. That's nuts. So we got to get in there, and I think that college did a great job of making that happen. But the ultimate is, if you serve this country, we're going to take better care of you than anybody else. So that's it should be. Again, common sense, right? Thank you.
Senator, and once again, thank you, as everyone said. I just want to get a quick plug in for our portal request that we put in through your office, as well as Senator Joyce's.
I'd be disappointed if you didn't.
I think they go hand in hand with the Kimberly-Clark announcement. It's great to bring the jobs, but we're also trying to provide a quality of life. And every one of the projects that we submitted to both portals have to do with our peninsula project, the infrastructure, getting us across that finish line there. And we think that those types of projects go hand in hand with helping make our community a little more attractive. And I think you made an excellent choice, and Mr. Chuck George, very good friend of Trumbull County, as well as the City of Warren, as being kind of your right-hand man for those type of things. And so we'll stay in Chuck's ear, but having you here, we wanted to let you know that those were our requests. We really, really appreciate your consideration.
No, of course. And let me just, again, emphasize, because it's super clear, unambiguous. The projects that will get the highest consideration are federal dollars that have state dollars and local dollars attached to it. So that a dollar becomes four. That's really important. I know you said it, said there's a trigger word that gets my eye to twitch, which is studies. I don't love studies. I like to be able to say, we gave money for X, and then I can walk in and see that X is built. So just want to kind of caution flag on that. I don't know that I haven't read proposal.
It's just, we don't know what the price tag is for the sewer and water lines till we have this study we have to do with the Corps of Engineers and being it's a waterway around there. That's the first step. We can't take the second step till we get the first step. First step is we need to see what is the price tag to make this happen. Then we can ask later to make it happen. But we're dead in the water until we do that.
Gotcha. I know, just letting you know, but James, let's work on that, because obviously I've heard loud and clear that the community is united around this. And if there's things that we can do, we got Ann Vogel is the EPA director for District 5, which by the way was supposed to be Indiana. They got the opportunity to make the appointment, and thanks to a trip on Air Force 2 with the vice president that happened to include the Zeldin, Ohio. Got the pick. I don't think Indiana's quite figured that out yet. But we got an Ohio person, and there was a big deal. And with the Army Corps of Engineers, there's things that we can do. Again, here's what I'd ask all of you guys. Please be my eyes and ears in this community. Let me know when things are bubbling up that are creating problems. The earlier we hear about issues, the more effective we can be. If there's federal agencies that are impediments, please let us know the name and phone number of said federal agency so that I can make a personal coaching phone call to that physical individual. If you're seeing problems, whether it's with CMS, any agency, EPA, DHS, FBI, ICE, anybody, you have issues, let our office know so we can be proactive. That's the most important thing. Like I can be infinitely more effective if I know about these things beforehand than, oh, the bomb went off. Can you come pick up the shrapnel, which is what Insight is. This is like really, really hard because it requires enormous amount of personal time to make, because you know you have 5 different giant corporations that are involved in this show, and unwinding that is just taking an enormous amount of my time, which I don't mind, but it's a big stake. I have 88 kids. You're not supposed to have favorites, but here I am. So, and every time I do these and the other counties read that I do this, I get phone calls. Why aren't you out here? So we got to land the plane here with Insight. Be optimistic. about this. I feel really, really good about this. And hopefully James will find the time to come back out, make the announcement, but I want to have, I don't want to surprise anybody here. So make sure everybody's in the loop, so that they know what's going on before they read about the videos. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Congratulations on, electing a phenomenal sheriff. You got a rock star over there.
I want to thank you, Senator, for your passion, your heart, your interest in Trumbull County and Ohio as a, a state. We appreciate your presence here. This is an honor to have you here. And I speak on behalf of everyone in the room here today. It's not often that Trumbull County sees a U.S. Senator
You're
visit.
gonna get sick of seeing it. You're gonna be like, oh, it wasn't an honor. Do you want to have other places to go?
We can talk about cars later on after the show.
I want to thank you too for hiring Beth Bigham. She was in this office from when she worked for Senator Vance, and she attended more commissioner meetings than many of her other employees. So she knows what's going on. She's
You
a
hear
good.
that, Max? Appreciate
In
it.
closing, I just want to thank you again for coming, and I love your approach to government. You know what? Let's get rid of all the red tape. Let's just get it done. Really appreciate
All
that.
right, perfect. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, guys.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Hernandez.
Yes.
Mr. Malloy.
Yes.
Mr. Murdock.